There are lots of people who are talking, giving a speech, and I'm sure that you'll be waiting to get to the meat of what the conference is all about. First of all, my congratulations to the organizers, NAR, BRI, Mr. Farooq Mahmood, Mr. Irshad and his team for having organized this wonderful event. Welcome to Bengaluru. Welcome to Whitefield and the Sheraton Grand. I'm happy to be part of your organization. When Mr. Irshad requested me to be the title sponsor, having a relationship with him and having the friendship with him for last many, many years, few decades, I very willingly, without any hesitation, accepted. In fact, my personal relationship with realtors goes back into when I got into this business. And it was the realtors with whom I used to interact with along with my brother Rizwan most of the time. And we used to buy and sell property, trading. And it was, the contact point was realtors. I've got some amazing memories of some of the realtors that I used to interact with, or we used to interact with in those days. That is early 80s. Of course, the world has changed. The city of Bengaluru has changed. The business has changed. And it is changing rapidly. While we see our cities growing, mass urbanization happening, especially in an Indian context or in a Bengaluru context, what needs to catch up is the civic infrastructure, is the civic sense that we need to have amongst ourselves, that patience on the roads, the courtesy of driving, the basic commuting that needs to happen needs to change, and the government also needs to help us to build in that physical infrastructure as well as the social change that we need to have as people. While all this is happening, there is a boom in our cities, and that is opportunity for all of you. And I think that's the opportunity that you've been looking for. And I'm sure all of you who have been in this business or who have chosen to be in this business have really done well for yourself. Yes or no? That's amazing to hear. And I believe that is what keeps you going. And I think while we are doing what we are doing, what should drive us is just not the monetary benefits that you get of working. Because monetary benefit should be a byproduct of the work that you do. It's the satisfaction of the work that you do. It's the networking, it's this overall satisfaction, it's the meeting of people, it's the thrill of getting a transaction done which you thought was impossible, or the thrill of concluding a transaction is what should drive you. Now, what drives you guys? Is it the thrill of working, or is it the thrill of just the monetary benefit at the end of the thrill? Both. I'm glad you're honest. Yes, you do need the monetary benefits, but as I said, while we're doing what we're doing, we need to bring in values into our business. We need to bring in integrity into our business. We need to bring in the systems. And that, ultimately, my friends, will give you that satisfaction while you go home and go to sleep. You'll get a sound sleep and you'll feel happy about yourself and you'll be happy with your families. I'm not come here to talk about philosophy or to preach to you, but while we are doing what we are doing, I think we need to keep reminding ourselves why we are doing it. My association, like I said, with the realty community is just amazing. We've used the channel partners, as we refer to them, or realtors, to get the access to the land, and then afterwards, when we churn the land into property, we always use them as our selling arms to say and get the benefits instead of having a very huge sales team. And I think we've successfully done it, especially the Bangalore Realtors are very, very active, and it's been a partnership. Of course, today we are present in most of the South Indian cities, and I must say, amongst the South Indian cities, Bangalore Realtors are the most active. While the governments need to help us on building infrastructure, public transport, we are in the business of providing housing as private developers. What really happens is, workplace today has become a red-hot challenge. And it is as if someone has left that kettle of water to boil and forgotten to shut the stove. Competition has become fiercer. Ethics get compromised, and social media changes the rule of communication. How easy it is sitting here, you would have sent 4 pictures of what's happening here, you would have sent pictures of what's not happening here, you would have probably done a couple of deals on your WhatsApp by now or on your email by now. But let's take a lesson from this boiling water, and what goes into that boiling water. Let's take a lesson from this humble tea bag that goes into this boiling water. So when you look at the tea bag, it comes with this little fancy label. It's got the satin string, some comes with cotton string, some comes with a fancy little bag, and some is just an ordinary cotton bag. But what matters is not the outside exterior of the bag or how it looks. That means it doesn't matter how you dress or whatever. It does definitely help you to be presentable. But what really is more important is what is inside the tea bag. And the quality of the beverage, which is determined by the tea that's inside it. And this applies to all of us. In real life, clothes, degrees, cars don't matter. But what matters is the kind of people we are. How deep down are your attitude and what your beliefs are is what defines you. How good a service you can give to your customer is what defines you, apart from the fancy trappings that surround you. The real flavor comes out only when the tea bag gets into hot water. If you put a tea bag into cold water, what happens? Nothing, the flavor doesn't come out. So how a person behaves under pressure. So a tea bag thrives in hot water, and I think all realtors as well as developers love to thrive under pressure, and they always like to be in hot water. Yes or no? So good tea bags like to get into hot water. They don't run away from it. Actually, where other people run away, the realtors and developers actually get into the hot water. They know that the hot water will give the best flavor. You love the opportunity to test your skills and prove your mettle. And then, one more thing, my friends, is a tea bag. Look at it, it's porous. Only then the flavor comes out. So, what in real life we have to do is, don't try to survive in isolation. Try and be porous. Try and share, like how you've met today, to share information, to share knowledge with each other, and to try and see how you can do business with each other by sharing and by caring. So be like that porous tea bag which likes to give away. It's not necessary that you have to monetarily share something. You can share some information, you can share some knowledge and become better people. So that's how it is. And with this, as a leader, you must learn to share and always be available to your colleagues, to your friends. And I think the purpose of this very conference is that. And more so, another thing with the tea bag is whether you put the tea bag on the side or at the bottom or whichever way, the same flavor comes out. So the tea bag doesn't look for positions. So whether you are the president or a committee member or a chairman or just an ordinary member does not really matter. What matters is how much flavor is there in you as a tea bag, and how much confidence you have and how much you can share and how much you can give away. So don't always look for a position. Position will come to you. Don't seek for it, and position will chase you, because if they feel you are worth it, somebody will come and make you the president one day. Yeah, and then of course, once the tea is ready, you need as a flavor, you need some milk, you need some sugar. So these are complementary skills. So you add that flavor, you bring in the additional skills that help you to become better people, better realtors, or better developers. The objective has to be met, and you should learn to hunt in packs. And finally, one thing you should always realize, in a tea bag, somebody always holds the string. It could be your boss, it could be your wife, it could be someone, but somebody always, it could be the government. In fact, government holds the string for sure. And we have an MP here, so who knows it better than him? It could be a stakeholder, it could be a customer who holds the string. And don't let the part go to your head. Always feel that humility should be there in you, that listen, you're not the greatest, you're not supreme. Whichever stage that you've reached in, if you are able to understand that there's somebody else above that holds the string, and finally in our lives, there's one person that holds the string, is the Almighty, which is there, the Supreme. He's the Supreme Boss. As I'm talking, maybe there's some energy that has come into me to communicate this to you. Without that, I can't communicate this to you. Impossible. And it's, finally, my friend, it's all about how tasty the tea is and not about the tea bag itself. So leaders get remembered for how good their teams were and the organizations they build. It's not about me, myself, or I, me, myself. It is about them. It is about you. It's about all of you. So that's how things are. And try to be good team players, work in teams, learn to care, learn to share, get that flavor out of the tea bag, bring make it as porous as possible. And eventually, you know what happens in a tea bag. What do you do once the tea comes out fully and the flavor comes out? You take the tea bag out and then you enjoy your tea. Similarly, in any organization, that one tea bag has to move out, and at some point of time, a new tea bag has to come. So there has to be that change. So like I heard now, Mr. Ravi Verma talking about your current president moving out and your next president-elect coming in. So that is change. So sometimes in organizations, you have change in leadership. In organizations like NAR, you'll have a change in leadership between the committees and presidents. In a political setup, you have change in leadership, because change is also good. It flows like a river. Being stagnant is of no use. There has to be the flow, and it always brings in the freshness. Believe you me, in today's day and age, in the young age where the younger population is growing in our country, the demands from the millennials is different. Their tastes are different. The concepts are changing. In fact, even I'm telling you, the concept workspaces are changing. Today, there is a lot of emphasis on co-working spaces, unheard of 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Today, now, everybody is rushing for co-working, and it'll be a matter of time where companies will not be setting up their own offices, but will be working from co-working spaces completely. There's also now another concept that is developing, is now co-living. The youngsters don't want to own anything. They want to be fancy, free, and footloose. Yes, it's a fact. And they just say, why should I get into this liability for 15 years, 20 years, get tied up in particular city, become a slave to my bank, pay my EMI? Why should I do it? I'll just go, live where I want, work where I want, do what I want. The concept, the thinking itself is changing. So while that is changing, what we should do and what we should think is how we as realtors, how we as developers can also adapt, and how we can amend ourselves to those big, huge changes. Because I'll give you a case. Now today, most of you have got lovely, fancy smartphones in your pockets. Did you have these same fancy smartphones in your pockets 10 years ago? No. Even Nokia came in I remember in India when we had the cell phone that came in, we had one sort of a heavy instrument carrying, and it used to be one event to carry that. Then came the days of Nokia. And today, does anybody remember Nokia? Very few. The rest of you know Samsung, they know Apple, they know everything else. And there are many more smartphones, of course, but these are the brands that come to your mind. Similarly, photography, Kodak. Do you go for a holiday with you? There was a time you used to carry 2 dozen rolls in your little bag to take pictures. That's gone, that's finished. Now you just take out your cell phone, no need for a camera also. Just take pictures, some of the amazing pictures, and then boom, you've got the best pictures in the world. And you become a very professional photographer. So my friends, that is what is happening. Of course, reality is real. It is to be seen, it's highly visible. But while we are doing what we are doing, I think there are many questions that we need to ask ourselves, you as realtors, we as developers, and try and see how, when the world is changing, how we also can adapt and adopt ourselves to this change. I once again thank the organizers to give me this opportunity to speak to you, to communicate to you and mingle with you. I deem it a privilege, and welcome you, all of you who have assembled from the entire country. All the best, and for your deliberations and for your networking. Have a blast. Enjoy the whole next 2 days. Thank you.